Thanks for tuning in this week. This is Kevin from Walker's Adventures. In today's video, I'm going to be answering questions that oilfield gate guards and oilfield companies do not tell you before you start to gate guarding. Now, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to give you the facts about what it's really like being a gate guard. So without further ado, let's get started on some of the questions that people need answers to. So the first thing is, when you call a guard company, they offer you a gate. You ain't got to take the first gate. You need information like how much the gate pays, how far it is from where you're going to be parked at. Are you going to be parked on-site or off-site? Is it a guard sack? Because pay is different depending on what kind of location you're at. Like if you're on the pad itself, you pull your RV to the pad, it's probably going to be about $150 to $200 a day for both of you and your husband or wife. If you're on a guard sack, they're going to pay you anywhere from $150 to $250 per 12-hour shift, but you're going to be working out of a guard sack and you have to drive to the campground that you're staying at. So make sure there's questions you got to ask. What kind of gate it is it busy, is it slow? There's several questions you need to know. How far it is away from a town. But that's something you got to figure out on your own. But yeah, you ain't got to take the first gate they offer. And there's like 20 different guard companies. If you call one and they ain't got nothing that fits your liking, then call another one. You know, there's 20 out there. Somebody has a gate that they need somebody on that y'all can come to an agreement on the pay and location. So don't just call one guard company and wait for them to call you back if they don't have a gate. Call several. And the next thing that comes with gates is you can set your own hours if it's you and your wife or it's you and somebody that you know. Like me and Linda, lots of gates, they work from 6 o'clock till 6. If we did that at our gate, I would be doing all the traffic, and at nighttime, Linda would have nothing to do. And it would put me being in the sun all day and her being in darkness all day. So, you set your own hours. There's a guard sack down the road that has 2 different people on it that they work 5:30 to 5:30. So the guy on day shift that works from 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 at night, he gets all the traffic. The guy on nighttime, he don't get no traffic. He just sits there. So, you can make your own schedule. All they care about is it being covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, so you and your wife or you and your friend or whoever you're with sets your own hours. As long as that gate's covered, it does not matter what time each one of y'all comes on or goes off. And something else that's very important when you're doing this is you got to realize you are on your own. You are going to be an hour from help. The guard company you work for, they might even be 3 or 4 hours away. We had illegal immigrants knock on our door in the oil field. Rattlesnakes. Today on our site, we actually had a guy that liked to die, and he got stung by a bee out here, and he did not have an EpiPen. Well, they had to rush him from here out to 285 and 5 miles up the road to meet the ambulance, and he's very lucky that he made it. Because if they would have had to drive him all the way to get an EpiPen shot, it would have been an hour plus to get to Carlsbad. And all your illegals, like I said, I've seen somebody down the oil field, an illegal that them and their brother came across the border and they got lost and he got dehydrated. And when they found us, they knocked on the door, and I called the ambulance and the sheriff. But by the time the ambulance got there, the guy had passed away from heat exhaustion and dehydration. So just keep in mind, you are on your own. Like if our truck was a breakdown, the closest place to get our truck fixed is Carlsbad. That's an hour away. So if it breaks down out here, you're going to have it towed all the way to Carlsbad. So just keep in mind, that you're responsible out here for your own safety. Nobody else is going to be here. Like at night time, I see nobody. Linda sees nobody when she's here at night as well. So just keep in mind that you are responsible for your own safety. A snake bite, or a broken bone, or heart problems, or anything could be very life-threatening out here in the oil field. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, all the roads to get to wherever you're going to be walking at in the oil field is awful. You know, they're just horrific. Some roads you can only drive 5 to 10 miles an hour on, and you might be on that road for 30 minutes just trying to get to your gate. And if it rains or you got a bunch of traffic, it just makes it even worse. You know, so just keep in mind that it'd probably be best if you had a 4-wheel drive vehicle out here, because like I said, it gets back to safety. If you get stuck out here and there's nobody around, you're going to have to wait till somebody comes around, or you're going to try to get yourself out of the ditch. Something else, you know, getting back to safety and problems in the oil field. You have a generator out here that powers your guard shack or your RVs. Well, we can tell you from example, you will have problems with your generator. It will go down at some point if you're out here long enough. And then you got no power, no AC. Linda was out here for probably 3 or 4 hours in 110 plus degree heat with no AC. So just keep in mind the generator will go down at some point. You know, right now we got a backup, a spare here just in case, because it's already went down 2 or 3 times. The light tower that we're on. So more than likely you will have problems with your generator at some point. So it helps if you are kind of handy and can troubleshoot problems that you have out here. Another thing that me and Linda had a problem with when we first started, we walked our first gate for 7 months straight without a day off. And I would suggest that you only walk maybe 2-3 months max out here before you take time off, because it's just too much on you physically, mentally, and you just need time off at some point. You know, so you are an independent contractor, but I would not walk longer than 3 months, because it just gets too much out here every day being in the oil field. So, you know, you're an independent contractor. You ain't got to be out here 365 days a year. And it's just too much. If you ain't never done it, you will figure out quickly, after about 2 months, that you're pure sick of it, that you're ready to go just even get a good dinner with your wife, or eat something good, or go see something other than a desert, because that's what the oil field is, a desert. You got sand galore. So, you know, you really need to take time off, not just get out here and be gung-ho and walk 6 or 7 months straight, because it takes a lot of wear and tear on you. And the most important thing out here in the oil field is poor internet. You have got to have a way to get internet. Like we got our AT&T, we got a WeBoost, which costs, you know, $450. That gives you a signal. It amplifies a signal. Without that WeBoost, most places in the oil field, you will not have a signal. We got people out here now that will stop at the guard shack and need to make a phone call or or check something, and they will use our WeBoost so they can actually get a signal. You know, some guard companies provide it, but I would not be dependent on them to provide it, because if they say, "Oh, we'll get you one out there next week," yeah, well, you might be sitting somewhere on a guard shack doing nothing with no internet, where you can't even get on the internet, watch TV, none of that. And you know, we also have a Verizon hotspot as well that we pay $100 a month for. And so we have 2 different ways that we can get on the internet. So just keep in mind, you know, the internet's very important. Okay, now let's talk about the oil field itself. Everything in the oil field costs more. Give you a good example. If we're not in the oil field and we go to Walmart to get groceries, it might cost us $100 to $125 a week for groceries. Out here, going to Carlsbad, which is the oil field, we spend anywhere from $150 to $200 a week on our food bill just from Walmart. And then like if you have your AC go down, you have to call a technician out here. We had to do that right here around Carlsbad, and he came from Hobbs. They charged us a $350 service fee just to come out and look at it. That's not counting to fix it. So everything in the oil field is going to cost you probably 50% more than what you're used to paying if you're anywhere else. So just keep that in mind. If you can, the more that you can bring out here that you don't buy in the oil field, the better. But at some point, you are going to have to grocery shop. And the gas too. The gas, if I go to Carlsbad and get gas, it's $4.20 for gas, for diesel. If I get gas right here at Oil of Texas, it will cost you $4.80 a gallon. So what, that's 60 cents a gallon extra you're going to be paying for gas just because you're in the oil field. Another concern about the oil field, that kind of gets back to your safety, is animals. You have all kinds of animals out here that can kill you. You got rattlesnakes. That gets back to safety. If a rattlesnake bites you, you're in trouble. Because if you're an hour from town, it ain't good. We've seen rattlesnakes, bobcats, foxes, javelinas, deers. Actually, on this side, there's actually a badger here. So, there's all kinds of animals that are dangerous. Don't feed the animals, because then they'll be accustomed to coming around you. We don't really have no problems with them. They kind of keep their distance. But just keep in mind, there's animals out here everywhere. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about how boring it is in the oil field. On an average day, I walk 12 hours. I get here at midnight. The first people really don't start coming in until, about 5 o'clock. So I don't do nothing between midnight and 5 o'clock. That's 5 hours of a 12-hour shift where you just sit here and watch TV or whatever else you want to do. I got a video game system I play on. So out of a 12-hour shift, I probably only walk about 6 hours out of the day. And Linda, she comes in at noon and she walks about 5 hours, because about 5:30 everybody out here leaves and nobody comes back in until the next day. So you're not really walking your whole 12 hours. It's so you're walking about half of what you are out here. And people ask me all the time, would you be a gate guard? Yes, I love being a gate guard. Linda loves being a gate guard. You just got to know that you got to take time off and you got to make it worth your while. Nobody, when they decide they wanted to be a gate guard, wanted to walk 365 days a year. That's not what we want. We want to walk, 4 to 6 months out of the year and take the rest of the year off. But I would definitely recommend it. We do recommend it to people that we meet. It's a good job. It pays good money. And you meet lots of good people out here in the oil field. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and if I forgot to answer anything, feel free to message me on YouTube, and I'll answer your questions. This is Kevin from Walker's Adventures. We'll see you in the next video.